Hello everybody, how's it going? Oh, hope we're all doing well. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully. Yo, what's up, Jerry and Carcia? You both, you're the two guys from Criticia, or Critica, yeah? Oh, what's up, Mologify? Good to see you. Good to see you, Giovanni. Thanks for being here. Safe dudes. Right, we're gonna do some like feedback stuff, and then I'm just gonna do some production. So hopefully that's alright with you guys. Let's just kill all this stuff off quickly. Alright. No, that's the wrong one. Shagdu. Okay. Yo, what's up, Dimenti? Cool. Right, let me just check the other tracks. Some people sent WAVs, some people sent SoundCloud links. So seeing as you guys, the critic guys, are here already, the Quappy Dodes, I'm just gonna look at those first. So let's give that a go. You're not gonna be able to hear me for the duration because I'm gonna listen to it on my monitors. So just gonna switch over to the monitors. Okay, right, let's give this a listen. Oh, just to check, you guys can all hear me and you can hear the music. If I just get a message in there just to confirm that you can hear the track, and we'll just carry on. Because I just let the first few seconds come through. Yeah, cool. Alright, we'll carry on. Really sorry, guys. I just realised it's all playing through the microphone rather than uh, where it should be coming out of. Really sorry about that. But now, uh, right, should be able to hear me, but I had the routing a bit wrong. Sorry, guys. So now you should hear the track. Sorry about that. So now, hopefully you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Alright, cool. Sorry about that. Right, so it's a good track. I like it a lot. The main thing that really sticks out to me as an issue in this track is the kick. It's got a good amount of power, but it's kind of like, I feel like it would fit better in a more full-on-esque situation. Like, yeah, less sort of dark mysterious. I think for a track like this, or I guess it's kind of personal choice really, but I think a track like this should have a much lower pitched transient, more of those kind of woody, knocky ones, or those kind of like more 909y type, you know, kind of just more foresty kick really, I think would work quite nicely. But, you know, it's up to you really. In terms of the mix and stuff, it's pretty much, well, it seemed pretty good, to be honest. It seemed really, really good. The only thing that stuck out in terms of mix as an issue really was you've got a loop of hi-hats, like tick, 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 and then it does like a speedy roll. They just need cleaning up a little bit, and like maybe a little bit of panning as well, because the upper mids down the centre get like kind of like, you can hear the hats nicely, but the other sounds coming through in the centre kind of get lost a bit because of that. So a little bit of panning might be good. Another thing to mention though is that because it's like MP3 or whatever, that issue might appear worse than it really is, just because it's MP3. So take a look at that and see what you think. Percussion in general, really fucking cool. I like it a lot. Really good. Pretty much all the synths and stuff sit really, really nicely, and the groove is nice. Atmosphere, really, really cool. To be honest, like, this is a very good track, I think, in every way, really. It's very, very good. Or it's what I like, at least, anyways. There's like a rhythmic stab you've got that happens quite a lot. It's like a really pitched down sound. Might be able to find it for you. Oh, well, actually, I'm not going to fuck around with the routing and stuff again to do that. But there's like a low-pitched stab that comes in every once in a while. And it just sounds like something that's been pitched down. It's a nice sound, but I think over time it just needs to change even a little bit, or just have like something interesting happening to it. Because you kind of, it's nice to have something that we can hang on to as the listener and like sort of know that it's going to happen, for the groove and stuff. But if you just have it change a little bit each time, maybe have a reverse delay come into it one time, or have it come in from one side another, and then, because it happens a lot throughout the track, so it would be nice if it did different stuff, and also it'll help you in terms of mixing, because you can have more exciting things happening, or more space in the middle or whatever for your other sounds, and then just have that element come in and do its thing and do something weird each time. That's what I'd say anyways. Other than that, I think you did mention already about little transitions and little rolls and things like that. That's, I think, something you could really do with, just to help the energy move between each part of the track. So yeah, that's about it. I'd say bloody good work. Yeah, really, really nice track. I like it a lot. Alright, so now we're going to go on to... firstly, if you have any questions about what I thought about it, just type them in there and I'll answer them quickly, and then we'll get on to your next track. Oh, and also I'll answer some of the stuff that's in the chat. Oh my god, is that Tron? Oh, wicked. How you doing, mate? It's pretty cool to have you here. Sick. Riaz, how you doing, mate? Schedule for the streams. So on a Saturday, I'm gonna try to do from 3 till 6 every Saturday, and that's GMT. So 3 till 6 GMT. So if you're in Europe, it's gonna be GMT plus a couple of hours or something. And then on Mondays, I'm not 100% certain on the time I'm going to do on Mondays, but I'm going to do Saturdays and Mondays. I just don't know exactly the time I'm going to do on Mondays. And then if there's enough tracks every week, I'm going to do some feedback stuff on a Monday. But if there's not loads of stuff, then I'll just do it every month or something. But yeah, keep an eye on Discord and I'll make announcements and stuff. And if you guys have ideas or things you want to do or see or whatever, then just talk to me about it on Discord. Alrighty. GMT plus 1. Yeah, cool. Alright, let's get on to this next Acacia track. And hopefully it'll sound right this time and it won't be fucked up. So yeah. Okay, cool. That was interesting. I wasn't expecting that at all. I did not expect that. It's kind of wonky, dubby vibe. I like it a lot. Yeah, really, really cool. I'd love to make some stuff like that one day. So the intro was wicked. Really, really nice flow to it, and just kind of really drew me in, which was really nice. So yeah, it could work. But the only thing was with the intro is that I feel like you could have used some, because there's so much space. You could have used some like weird pan effects, or like something like a HRTF pan would have been really, really cool, just to do some really strange effects moving around. You could have even done some like super out of phase stuff that just makes it really interesting for those who are listening in stereo, just to kind of I don't know, add to that kind of weird vibe of like what the hell's about to happen in the intro. I think that would be cool. Again, yeah, it's just a sort of personal choice, but that's something I think could be quite cool to fill it out a bit there. And I just wrote down, wasn't expecting that when it dropped it, because like it came in and I was like, oh, that's nice, really cool. Yeah, all in all, like really nice feeling throughout. To be honest, really liked the groove, and like the bass line was like, it's quite simple but really, really effective, which is something I think is really important, especially in that type of music. You lost some energy though around about 240. It just sort of took me out of the trance, if you like, took me out of it. I think you just need something to happen there. Maybe some of that, if you did add some of that weird panny spatialization stuff at the beginning, you could have that happen there. Or maybe you could have like, because you've got quite a lot of things in quite close and like dark and stuff, so maybe you could have something like a high pitched thing happening over there or something in the distance, like a bird or something like that. Just a sort of high pitched element, just to fill out the sort of like upper mids and stuff, and just have a sustained sound going that kind of sticks out from the rest of the track and will help it to feel a bit more like it's a real place as well, I think. I just wrote lovely dub because it was really nice. I think what could be really, really, really cool for this track is if you either record your bass line out and just manipulate the shit out of it and just snip little bits out of it just to put at the end of each sort of part and help it move into the next bit. Obviously not go too hard on it though, because it'll get too much energy. But little strange things happening would be cool. What I wrote down was like make a Reese and just resample it loads and loads and loads, and just make sure it's the same sort of tone as what you've got already, and just have it happening every once in a while to link each part through. And just little like wubs and things as well would have been quite cool if you had like a one-off percussion that happened and then have like a wub happen on the bass line, so it feels like the whole track's kind of shaking. And that would work with Bird as well, because you can have like, and then Bird like, I don't know, something like that. Trees shaking and stuff. That would have been really cool. I know this is sort of random, but this is just what comes to my mind when I listen to a track. And yeah, and then again, I just wrote about more sort of high-pitched elements just to bring it all together and make it all feel like a succinct place. Because at the moment, I think it's like, it's very clear what it is. It feels a bit like a abandoned underground laboratory or some shit. But like, the way I'd like to imagine it is if it was abandoned laboratory, but like in like a fucking jungle in like post-apocalyptic world or something. I don't know. Like, I like to imagine places. Oh, someone wrote field recordings. Yes, definitely, field recordings would be really, really good. Little layers. Something really cool is if you go to a river and just throw loads of stones in the water and drop them and just record it all, or break twigs and stuff. And then when you get home, chuck it into Simpler if you're using Ableton, and it'll just turn all the hits into what's it called? Into like playable parts, and you can just very quickly put in the same MIDI or whatever, and just layer up all your hits with like bits of stuff. And if you did some really weird, like out of phasey stuff, if you had like twigs and shit breaking and it appears to almost happen behind you or something, I think that'd be really, really cool. Anyway, yeah, so that actually I find quite inspiring, that track. Nice work. I had quite a experience with that. That's really nice. Thanks for that. Right. So next we have Dimenti with Primordial Ooze Amorphous Goo. That's funny because I've got a mate whose artist name is Primordial, and my old artist name was Ooze before I changed it. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to set it up so you guys can hear this, and so I can hear it properly, and then we'll talk about that.
We're about to change the fucking vibe. You ready for a big shock?
All right, nice one. Right, so let's get going on that one. So Dementi. I actually quite like the idea in your track, but I think that it needs some development. Really, I feel like this is a solid basis for a track, but it just needs more sounds, probably. Like some. It either needs to go more towards the sort of weird atonal stuff that doesn't really have leads, or it needs to go more towards the stuff that does have leads and just try and drive it a little bit with those. I would probably say this should go the way of like having leads and things like that. Just some more stuff to fill it up. So anyways, I'll go through my notes. The track is a bit too, well, it's quite a bit too dynamic. So the stuff that is too quiet, or the quiet things and the loud things in your track are too far apart. So like, there's certain elements that I'm like, that's nice, but I have to really focus my ear in to hear it. But then I'm getting battered with the kick and bass. So just try to make some of the quieter elements a bit louder. I think that'll help a lot, just to bring your sort of dynamic range down a bit, quite a bit. Same with the drums. I think they need to come up a bit, not loads, just a bit though, just so you can kind of hear them a bit better. I really enjoyed the beginning bit. I think my favourite part was probably the beginning bit actually. It was like really industrial and it kind of felt like I was in a factory or something. That was really, really cool. But I think it needs, like, it's very cool. It's the same kind of thing happening over and over again. You can imagine like a robot doing something or manufacturing something. But to give like tension to that, you need to have some FX. That's basically something you need a lot more of in this track is FX. So get that effects type stuff happening, like sweeps and rises and things like that. But in that first part, just to give some tension, because it's like this industrial thing is happening and something's going to happen rather than this industrial thing is happening, if that makes sense. To bring in that first drop, there needs to be something to give a bit more tension again, something to kind of, build and release and stuff. Just to accentuate that first drop. I've written tighten the mix, so yeah, it just needs to, the quieter things need to come up a bit. And what I've written here is either bring the atmos forward or add some closer sounds. So I think quite a lot of the atmospheric stuff, it sits really nicely, but it feels like there's this kind of gap between all the stuff that's happening here, like the kick and bass and that, and then way over there with the atmos and things, which it's not a bad thing. It's just I think there needs to be some stuff. There really needs to be some things that happen in between there, some more upfront stuff to kind of catch your attention and do something interesting and then go away and then, other elements come in. So yeah, just make more elements is probably my best advice for this track. There are some really, really nice sounds in here. And the spaciousness and like atmos is like really top notch. I like it. So speaking of those like atmoses and things, I think you should try and manipulate all the atmos and stuff that you've got, and just create loads and loads of different versions, and just screw with it with like texture warp and different warp things and reverbs and all sorts, and just make all different versions so that you can have the same thing happen each time throughout the track that you've got, but each time it sounds a bit different, and you can kind of, as you make each different ones, you'll find some of them have more energy than others, and you can kind of place them to build the energy through in the way that you want. You got this really cool like transformer type noise in there. It's like quite a mechanical type sound. That's really cool. The only problem with it though is that there's some kind of conflict with in the low mids between that sound and the kick and the bass. So just be wary of that, because it really humps up in that sort of 150 odd area or something like that anyway, at points, which is something you want to avoid. Otherwise your track will sound unpleasant at points, basically. What have I written? Yeah, but drums need fattening and tightening, which is basically my way of saying, get some more layers in there and make them louder. And to be honest, I can't comment on them that well because I couldn't really hear them that well. Here I've written 341 needs effects to bring up energy. So at 341 you need some effects to bring up the energy. 420 needs more sounds and effects. I think you need some like type of tease some lead sounds or something there. 340 to 510. You need some new elements, and they can kind of develop, maybe talk to each other a bit and develop until about 6 minutes, and then you can just sort of go full power and do whatever. Well, that's what I felt should happen from what was there. And then, I said this already, just manipulate what you've got already and just make lots of variations. And then 7 minutes, which is probably too late for this to happen, but at that 7 minute point you could have, all your FM and lead sounds all talking to each other. But yeah, I'd probably do all this stuff to it and then rearrange it a bit, because could probably do with it a little bit. So yeah, that was Primordial Ooze with Amorphous Goo. Alright, so now we're gonna go with our amazing servo booster Cadabras track. So Neurogrid with CAD. Right, so I'll just set it up so you can hear it.
They're made out of something, and they move, they change. Like they don't stay what they are. They're constantly evolving in front of you into something more and more beautiful. That was the most profound aspect. Like, all of this stuff that you concentrate on every day is nonsense. And there is some other thing that's connected. It's probably influences this world. Yeah, it's probably what people see when they have near-death experiences, the depictions of the afterlife. It's probably real.
Right. Solid. Really solid track, that. I enjoyed that a lot. Kind of really powerful, full on. It was sick. Right. So I wrote nice intro, nice kick. It was a really very nice kick. Spatialization. Well, at the beginning, spatialization I think is really good, but later on you have some problems with spatialization. Drums are really nice. The snare is kind of a personal thing, but I think the snare needs to come out a bit more. Not necessarily louder, but it just needs to be more different to the hats than it is at the moment, because it kind of just is the same colour of high mids happening and doesn't really stick out from the rest of the high mids and the drums. So personally, I would do something to just change the snare up a bit to get it to kind of sit more obviously in the track. But that's just because that's the way I like snares. Some people prefer them more laid back, so it's up to you. So the kind of an issue throughout most of the track is that there's all this cool stereo information happening, but there's so much side information, and the side information is quite loud, and the mids aren't much louder. In fact, they're quieter at points, or appear quieter at points. So basically, it loses a lot of focus throughout the track. I checked it in mono a few times, and it just sounds so much more fucking... Yeah, it sounds a lot better at some points in mono, because it's not distracting either sides in a way. So I think you need to make some of your side stuff a bit quieter, and actually maybe even just have some sounds come in a bit more central, and make some of these more leading, the more important lead sounds that happen in the middle. They need to be a bit louder and just kind of jump out a little bit more, I think, because otherwise I don't know what to listen to. It's like all this stuff happening, which works really well at certain points. There was a bit, I didn't write when it happens, but there's a bit where it kind of breaks down a little bit into like just stuff happening rather than like straight up leads. And that bit, it works so well because it's like, ooh, what the hell's going on with all the sort of sparkly, glassy noises and things, which is really cool. So yeah, that's what I'd say about the spatialization. The drum fill is really gnarly. I like that a lot. I assume that's the... Is it the Jump Street drum fill machine? I think it might be, but it's really, really nice. Sounds fucking solid. So there's an arpeggio. I really, really like your arpeggio melody thing. It's really nice. And there's a bit, I think, I'm not sure if it's the first time it comes in, but there's a bit where it comes in and it's playing, and it's getting more and more interesting. The energy in the arp is kind of building up, and it's getting more aggressive. So I think there needs to be a big pad or sustained sound that really drives with it to kind of make it, I don't know, give it something to sit on and just go up with it. So that then when it then goes into a bit where the arpeggio gets led with another sort of gritty sound, and then like that pad can end when it goes into there. I think that would work really nicely in terms of just keeping energy and stuff going. There's a kind of guitar-esque growly lead sound, which is really, really nice. That happens during the part when the arpeggio is going sort of full power. Really, really like that. It just needs to be a bit louder, because it does work being a quieter element, but I think if it came forward a bit, it would just be better, basically. Not much though, 2 dB or something. Right. I put very nice and lots of exclamation marks. I'm not really sure what I was talking about there. The vocal chops and things sound great, but they need to be louder. If you have trouble with making vocals really loud, get a phase rotator, not a phase shifter, but a phase rotator, which you can get free one from Melder, I'm pretty sure, and just play with that on the voice, on vocal recordings, and it just sorts out the asymmetrical shape, which can be really useful to get voice to be loud. Doesn't always work because sometimes things have already had that done to it, like if it's on radio, they do that for radio because there's only so much headroom or whatever. Anyways, yeah, do that to get those vocal things to be more powerful, and then do all your weird effects to them. But yeah, they work really, really nicely. Sounds very psytrancey. And then there's a point where the ARP comes back in, and it just sort of jumps back in out of nowhere. I think it needs to have something to introduce it, or it to like fade in or something like that. That would be nice. At 5.5 minutes, it drops into less stuff happening, and then there needs to be a big, or like a big, I don't know, something really long, or something at least, not necessarily that long, but something to sort of, big impact or splash or whatever to just kind of, I think it just needs that there basically to help the energy move in the right way. I've written, it sounds great in mono. Yeah, it does sound really, everything sounds pretty much fine. It doesn't sound like phasing mess, particularly the stuff that is getting fucked up by the mono is kind of just disappearing altogether by the sounds of things, which is better than things getting fucked in my opinion. Fantastic track. What would be really, really cool at the point where the track's going like really full energy would be is if the kick and bass and drums kind of follow the ARP, because there's the ARP going when it gets to that highest bit, it kind of does this little groove. If the kick and bass and maybe the drums follow that as well, that might be quite cool. Just something to kind of give like a motif at the end of each however many bars, and it gives the dancers, people who are dancing to it, something to get to that, and they're like, yeah, and then it starts again. And I don't know, it's nice to have those things to hold on to, but they're different a bit each time. Otherwise it gets too, either gets too repetitive or it gets too unpredictable, but it depends what you like in terms of music, really. And then 7:38, it needs a big splash or something really, really long decay sound to just help the energy come down again and just start rolling downhill, I guess, in energy. And at like 8 minutes, maybe it would be good to tone the drums down, because everything else is going down in energy and the drums are still like, fucking yeah, let's go for it. So it might be good to tone them down, just pull out the 16th hat or something like that, or just the percussion, I don't know, something like that. So yeah, that's all I've got on that track. So I really hope that's helpful. Really enjoyed that as well. When that's done, I'd love to get a copy of that, a high quality one. That'd be great. The same goes for the Nicasia guys. That'd be really cool to have some of your tracks. I can go and buy them wherever they're available or whatever as well, but I'll have to wait a little bit. Right. We've got another one from Dimenti. Let's have a listen here. Right, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So, I really like the sample you've used in there. That's really cool. That insertion. Yeah, that's cool. So, the main thing about this track is, I think it's actually a really good idea you've got here. So, like, it's actually quite unique, I think, in terms of, like, it's actually got quite an interesting musical aspect to it, and it's got that kind of more industrial atonal stuff going on at the same time. And it actually works, I think, anyway. I think around 2 minutes or so, you need to start teasing like a lead sound. You need some kind of real searing lead noise or something to accompany that ARP, just to add more energy, really, and just give the track something really memorable, and just to bring the energy up. So yeah, it needs some sort of lead sound. I like the mixture of musicality and grittiness, because I do like that a lot. That's really cool. Around 320, you need more effects, just stuff happening like rises, falls, and splashes, and just all the things that aren't necessarily musical, just to give it a bit of kind of power and like let the listener know, oh, we're about to get hit with the kick drum or whatever. what would be really nice would be some kind of like rolls at the end of however many bars, like dung 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 dung, and then or yeah, you know what I mean, like just stuff that changes every once in a while at the end of so many bars, just to kind of set the clock ticking again, if that makes sense. Just bring the energy, forwards and keep it going. I wrote, it needs a lead to give it direction. So yeah, I think it needs a lead. What I think would be really, really cool is you've got some kind of creepy, like, noises. Just like record that, and then if you're in Ableton, just go and draw like a clip modulation of like chopping out bits of volume, like a volume clip modulation, and get like a gated rhythm happening with it, and just turn it into a percussive element, and then kind of just go really hard on it and make that the main element in the track, and just have the with whatever, like I can't really do it in my mouth, but have stuff happening with that kind of chopped up lead or something, and make it really sort of percussive sequence type thing. Oh yeah, what I wrote was take an element and make it your bitch. So yeah, that's what you need to do. That's all I've got for that one. Definitely keep working on that one now. I'm kind of interested to see where that one goes. Alright, so how can I apply to give you to give me feedback? You need to join my Discord server. There's a link in the description for the video, so just go there, come and join, and yeah, you can post it in there. Let me just check how many tracks we've actually got. Oh, okay, there's not too many. Alright, so I wanted to just, before I go on to these tracks, I had a couple tracks given to me as well, which I will play. Hopefully you guys can hear this properly. Hope for the best. Please message in the chat if there's any issues with the sound. Could you guys hear that when I played the beginning of that track just then? Because I think for me the routing's not quite right. Potentially, but I'll do it again and just let me know if you can hear it properly. Right, Catharsis. That was your track, wasn't it? I think you're here still in the chat, hopefully. But anyway, I really like this track. It's really cool. I like it a lot, especially the bit where it says, "Pretty cool, right?" that's jokes. So, yeah, I really like it. Most of my stuff I'm going to say is to do with like the technical side of things. You've got a lot of build up going on at certain frequencies. For example, oh, by the way, you might notice as well halfway through I did a little bit of that. You got too much highs, so I just took them out because I couldn't actually hear the high mids properly with them like that. So I just changed it slightly so I could hear it properly. That's all. So yeah, if you look at the spectrum, I'm going to mute it though somewhere along the line so we don't get a feedback loop. Mute. Right. There we go. We got a huge build up. So that's what I'm talking about. Look at that. That's like a couple of decibels louder than the rest of the... Oh, I don't know if you guys could hear the track just then or not. But anyways, you've got a big spike. If I just freeze it, you can see these massive spikes happening at the beginning of your kick and on your bass notes. You don't want that because you'll start hitting limiters and things sooner than you might want to. Yeah, so watch out for that. Yeah, so there's a lot of problems, not a lot of problems, but there's some problems with the highs in your track. Like, I think your drums are like far too dynamic. They need like probably some EQ and just deal with the levels a bit more, and then distortion, perhaps more EQ, limiting distortion, perhaps more EQ, and then some clipping. If you want to go really ham on it, that's what I would do, and just get them really chunky so they don't add up so much. Also, you can play with timing. That's often a good idea. Uncle Butt has suggested G-clip. G-clip is a good one, or free clip. Depends if you're doing like soft clipping or hard clipping. I really like the soft clipping in in free clip, or the hard clipping in G-clip. Similar names. Anyways, so yeah, the highs are aggressive. Your 700 to 1.2k area is a bit crowded as well. So that kind of nasal area is just a bit too like crowded. And you've got a bit of a dip around like 4,500, a bit more than you need. So you could actually like try to move some stuff into a slightly lower register in terms of EQ or whatever, just to fill up that space down there and give space to some of the things that are happening in that sort of 700 to 1.2, 1.5k area, because yeah, that area just seems very too much. I'm not in actually like a particularly good acoustic situation at the moment, so that could be adding to that quite a bit. That will change. So I meant to put up some of the rest of the stuff, but it takes forever. Right, so you're kicking your bass. So I was going to show you what I think your kicking bass should look like compared to what it does look like. So if we find a bit with relatively clean kicking bass, right, so this is what your kicking bass looks like. So what I would prefer it to look like, if I was you, I probably wouldn't do what I'm going to do, but just so you can see what it is, I would like it to look like. I'll just quickly show you. For this style anyway, this is what I would aim for. So let's just tweak the kick. It's the bass. There's the kick. I would aim for a shape more like. So we've got like probably 100-ish hertz area, whatever, happening like here, and you got your tail here with your perceivable sub. So what I would aim to do is like get that point a bit louder and get the tail to be considerably quieter. It looks a bit weird and chunky here, but just so you can kind of tell what I'm trying to say. Because this way, it's not perfect, but this way you will have sort of emphasis on these actual low mids, which will give it its like chunkiness, and then you can have less sub than you did have happening, and it'll actually make it seem like bassier, weirdly enough, because the sub is like really, really low. So you don't want too much of it, because it kind of just will completely mask your low mids. So be aware of that. So yeah, I'd aim for something like that on your kicks. Just make this earlier area louder and the later area quieter, rather than having like a kind of fishtail type thing. Because in like a prog track or something, the sort of more fishtail thing would work better. But in a track like this, I think you need a bit more of that low mid punch rather than the sub, especially because you're going a bit faster as well, close to 150. You want to have less sub, because it just makes it appear less energy and flabby and crap. So, but don't take that the wrong way. Like I really enjoy the track a lot. And then with the bass tones, they look a bit too dynamic to me, so I would probably go for a shape more like this. For this style at least anyway. But do as you please, but for this style of track, I'd aim for something. Oops. More like that, because that will make the body of your bass tones seem like way fatter. It will just make them seem like really, really powerful, because now that that's technically quieter, well, before we did that to it, we were getting what, minus 5.86, and now with it we're getting minus 10, so we're going to get way more perceived volume out of this now. We can have 5 dB, and look, we've got huge fat bass notes at minus 5.8, and before we had slightly louder actually, or very slightly quieter, one or two, and you've got tons and tons of this transient but not as much body. So I would go for something more like that in this case. So in the end it ends up looking like that, and I suppose take this down a couple. yeah, more like that kind of consistent chunky shape, rather than what you did have, where it's like fishtailing out and then going in like that. So yeah, I mean, I would aim for this kind of constant power type shape for this style for sure, because you just want it to be like chugga 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 underneath. All right, so yeah, that's more or less all I have to say about that. The Catharsis track. This is insightful. Oh, I'm glad you're learning something. You know, take everything I say with a pinch of salt though, because I'm not a pro. This is just though what I would do. Anyway, let's go and take a look at Night Vision's Shagduru track. Been really enjoying stuff from Night Vision lately, so I'm sure this will be a banger. Okay. J Slim. Is that Catharsis? Yeah, nice one, mate. Cool. Yeah. I hope that was helpful for you. The main thing is those highs and some stuff in the sort of upperish mids, not that high though. Like I said, some crowding, and then the kick and bass thing just to make it a bit more chunky and powerful, just change the dynamics of them. Oh yeah, and then watch out for timing and things where things are adding together in a nasty way, because you can really see it actually. If you look at the waveform here, you can see these massive peaks, which are just going to mean that your track is suffers in terms of when it comes to mastering it or whatever, because it's, you know, we're going off these loudest parts, we want to really squish it down, like like this sausage here. Yeah. Alright, so let's listen to Shagduru. I've noticed at the beginning of a fair few tracks I've heard lately is this sound. The sort of bubbly type noise. I think it's even in Catharsis' track as well. Wonder where that comes from. Okay. Hopefully you'll hear Night Vision. It's a pretty cool track, mate. I like that. I have heard it before, but it's sounding good. It's sounding pretty good. We spoke about mixing privately the other day. There's nothing terrible, to be honest. It's just little tweaks. You might have noticed me doing little stuff with the EQ during the listening to it. I've started noticing this too much 700 to 1K area stuff on a couple of tracks now, so that might actually be this room more than anything. But I don't know at the moment because I still need to measure my room and stuff and do all the stuff with Room EQ Wizard. But definitely there's some ringing going on. It's like a shaker or something, or a mirror, or a maraca, or I don't know what it's called, tambourine. That's it. Around like 9K, and there's something even higher, like 13,000, and it's just like proper ringing. So watch out for that because that's not very pleasant. Pulling that out and maybe just dipping some of the highs, literally like less than half a decibel or something, and then giving a bit more high mids. So there's 3K area. Really, really gives the clarity and punch back into the track. So, in my opinion, anyway, I think you just need to not have this dip happening here around 3K. It's like super important bit of frequencies. This is the stuff that we hear the best. Designed to hear that stuff. Ears are designed to hear that. So, yeah, maybe slight bit more of that. Not loads more because it'll be really, really harsh. But just like play with the EQ on some stuff and get it nice and clear and nice there. So those are the possible issues. High mids. I think the main problem I would say with this track is that's probably making it a bit harder to mix as well, is that it needs to be wetter. There needs to be more effects and spatialization and panners and things like that, phasers and some reverb and things like that, just to kind of make each sound sit a bit more in the mix and sort of just be generally wetter. It feels quite dry. It's fine to have there's a point where you've got this cool rhythmic lead FM type chopped up thing happening in the middle, and it's really, really nice, but then there's sounds that accompany it, and they're kind of in the same kind of mono-y. They're not mono, but they're not different enough. They need to have a bit of contrast in terms of the effects and stuff. Nice wetness to them. But yeah, just generally some more wetness would be really nice in this track. Other than that, I think it flows quite nicely. It feels good. The kick though, I think you should curve the end of the kicks off, because at the moment it's like chonk. I think you just need to have a bit of chonk, but then start curving off towards the end of the kick, just so that it'll just make it feel a bit less flabby, is what I would say it'll do. And it'll just, especially in a fast track like this, you need to have quite judicious control of those low frequencies, otherwise it's just not gonna roll in the way you want it to. But otherwise, yeah, no, really nice work there, mate. Good track. Right, let's get on to the next stuff. I'm not sure how much we have left on here. So I think this is the last one. If there's some other stuff and I've missed it, then please let me know. We've got Alpha Sense here with Lost Direction. Very cool artwork. I've got a feeling this is going to be quite professional by the looks of things. So let's hear it. Let's give it a go.
myself. But as time went by, I realized that freedom is within each of us. There was a time when I thought I'd never be free and never live my dreams. I'd never push boundaries and never be myself. But as time went by, I realized that freedom is within each of us.
Right. Hopefully you guys can hear me properly. And if Tree Circuit's here, wow, really fucking cool track. It's just a shame that it's only 1.5 minutes long. I would like to hear the rest very much. It's very cool. I assume that's a finished track now though, because it sounds like it pretty much is done with. And looking at the waveform, everything looks happy. It's very nice. The only things I would mention are snare gets a bit lost. It's a nice snare, but there's points where if you focus on the snare, there's points where it's just like you don't really hear it very well. So slightly louder would be nice, or maybe some kind of like frequency dependent sidechain might be quite nice, just so that maybe that 3K area gets pulled out of the leads a tiny bit when the snare comes in. I'm sure you know how to do that. That might be the way forwards with that. The vocal is really cool, very very nice actually. But the very last couple of words kind of get lost, and would be nice if you could hear those properly. Something, or make it so on purpose you can't hear what she's going to say, because the voice gets so fucked up that it goes all weird and then goes into the drop or something. That might be nice. Kick and bass, it sounds fantastic on my system, so good job. Only thing I would say to do with that is maybe some like disperser or something, just at like 600-700 hertz or something, just to get the transients to be even more pronounced. It's not necessary though, really. It just might be nice, might not be. But otherwise, yeah, I can't complain. But yeah, send me a whatever of that, or where I can buy it, and I will buy it at some point when I've got some spare money, because I like that track a lot. Very cool. Right. I think that is it. What's going on in the chat? Sometimes you've got to go deep into the hole so you can swear you'll never go to a party again. Then go back the next week. Yeah. I think many of us have been there. Oh, well, there is another thing to have a look at, so I will have a look at that. I'm just going to check if there's any other tracks that I missed. Doesn't look like it.
I'm Homer Simpson.
Alright, this is a track from Soundbender. He sent me something a little while ago which was really interesting track. It kind of sounded like Wild Things Records or something like that. It was really cool. And there's a couple of leads in there that one day I would like to be able to make. So right, let's check this out, guys.
I'm Homer Simpson. I'm a big fat pig. I'm gonna drink a lot of beer and stay out all night. listen to that.
All right, okay. Cool.
Are you ready to rock?
Alrighty. It's a cool track, that. So, there's some really, really awesome work there with like grooves, and they're quite percussive sounding synth sounds. I'm very intrigued on how those are done. Yeah, it's got really like Wild Things, kind of Fagan's Reject vibe about it. I really like that. Um, Something I'd say though is there's too much energy happening in this sort of 20-30 hertz area. Because if we have a look at it here, oops, you see this stuff here? See, from 40 hertz down to kind of 25 hertz, you've got a big lump of stuff going on. I would avoid that. Maybe try and have your kick happen like 7 or 9 semitones higher, like considerably higher, and see what happens then, because you're kind of losing out on energy by having it that low, and also it's just going to be horrible if you hear it on a really big system. Those 20-30 hertz stuff, if it's like the main focus of the kick, is going to be really unpleasant and just extremely subby. So yeah, I would definitely play with a new kick much higher up, like in harmony with the bass. You know, you could even go between the first, between the fundamental and the first harmonic of the bass would be a good place probably. So perfect fifth, or maybe minor third or something, or major third actually is used a lot in this style. All the stuff I've heard like this is often major third. So 4 semitones up from the root note for the kick. Too much mids in general, so just need to think about maybe having some sounds not happen at the same time as other sounds and just EQ and stuff like that. But the problem with there being too much mids is accentuated because there's not enough high frequency presence, so it makes the mids seem even more bloated because there's not really enough contrast with those high frequencies that are going to give this track its like air and presence, and yeah, make it appear more spacious and things as well, and just open, quite open mix. At the moment it's very closed, pinched, sort of bumpy. Bass, you could probably make the bass a bit less dynamic, so more of a sausage, because it's the sort of Twilight stuff. You can get away with having it really quite sausagey rather than dynamic, like pinging bass, but that's up to you depending on what you like. I think you get more energy and more just power really if you change that to a less dynamic bass. It's pretty much done in a lot of ways, this track, in terms of the arrangement and stuff, I'd say. I really, really like it. It's a good track. I just think you need some, like, more sort of spatial effects and spatial effects, like things that, well, what I've written down is some sustained sounds. So you need big sounds and atmospheres that kind of come in and out and give the lead stuff, like, context. So it's like, oh, we're going from this place and we're moving and now we're in this place, different psychedelic atmosphere, and it'll help it to kind of come to life. And then each time where you drop it into the new groove or whatever, you can just change it to a different atmosphere and it'll be like, whoa, interesting. A bit more high mids in the bass would be nice, because you're kind of taking away the highs from bass. If you just push the high mids a little bit, that might be quite nice in the bass, just to get it to pop through a bit better. Going back to there being too much mids, there's too much like 700 to 100, 700 to 1K. So you can see I've pulled down here like 1K. Because there's stuff that, when it builds up together, there's too much happening there, and it makes it go like bloated in that area, and it kind of gives that really unclear, like lack of clarity type thing. Alright, so as well as that, I think, pulling out this 150 hertz thing so aggressively is probably not a good idea. I would play around with having even slightly less of the harmonic before and after it, and actually have more of that. But see what sounds good to you. But this is your, if it's in the key that I think it's in, yeah, this is probably your like first fifth. It will be your first fifth. So you kind of want to have more of this generally, because the darker, more nighttime stuff often has more of the first fifth, because we start going to like lower pitches and we need to have harmonics that are actually audible as well as like feelable. So yeah, try not to take too much of that out, unless it's something that you really like. If you like it, it's fine, but I would prefer to have more of that. So yeah, that's about it really. Get some atmoses in there and sort out some of the build-ups, frequency build-ups, and you're good to go, I reckon. Yeah, fantastic work, mate. Really good. Right, I think that is it in terms of feedback then for the day. Oh no, what have we got here? Someone's turned the feedback loop from earlier on into a grid. Let's take a look at that. That's actually really cool, Uncle Bart. I like that. That's really sick. Hopefully people don't watch this live stream later on and blow their eardrums up. Maybe I'll edit that bit out later on. Yeah, no problem, Soundbender. Yeah, really interested to see where you take that, and interested to hear more of your tracks, because I like your style. It's really cool. Very groovy. I like it a lot. Right, so yeah, that's it for the first feedback special. If you are watching now or in the future or whatever, and you want to get involved with the feedback stuff, join my Discord. There's a link in the description. You can come and chat to me there and chat to the other guys there. And yeah, so I'll be doing streams every Monday and Saturday. Saturdays will always just be production, and Mondays will sometimes be feedback, depending on if there's enough tracks to give feedback. Which I have a feeling there probably will be actually, because how long it takes to do them. But yeah, so Saturdays and Mondays, and then I'll try and get a video out in the week, hopefully very soon. But with Christmas coming up, I don't know if I'll be sort of sound of mind to be able to do that, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, anyways guys, I'll call it there for the feedback, I think, and I'll probably just do a few minutes of production. If my computer wants to load, that is. We shall see. Doesn't look like it's playing ball. It's getting quite late actually anyway. Alright, yeah, no, I'm just going to call the stream there, guys. Take it easy. Hope you enjoyed the feedback, and hope to see you all on the Discord, and interested to hear the next lot of feedback tracks. So, take it easy, guys. I'll see you soon.